Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Carol, and in today's video I am going to be sharing with you guys more about my experience working at factories in Poland. This was something that came in highly requested, I must say, after I shared my vlog about what a typical day looked like for me as a factory worker in Poland. Before I get into that, I just wanted to share some important information for those of you who might be new here and that kind of thing. So the number one thing that I wanted to share is I do make videos about my life in Poland where I share my experiences and opinions about the country. So please bear that in mind. It is just my opinions. More importantly, it is not reflective of every single person in Poland. There might be people who disagree with me, which is totally fine. What I do on this channel is to just share Poland through my lens. Number two is actually more of a request. That is, I will change my mind about certain things as I grow, as I evolve, and as I experience the country more. You will find that my opinion on certain things is going to change. I say this for the people who then want to come and say, oh, but in 2020 you say this and that. I know what I said, and I'm sure you guys also change your opinions in your day-to-day lives. I'm not any different from you. For the most part, when I talk about Poland on my channel, I do complain a lot, and there has been a shift. You will see me complaining a lot less and being more grateful and, you know, positive. So yeah, I just wanted you guys to expect that in the future. The other thing that I wanted to share is that unfortunately, I am not a travel agent. A lot of people do reach out to me asking me to do things for them. Unfortunately, guys, I can't do that for you. Next thing, for those of you who are new here, I am actually a full-time student. So the factory job was a summer job. I say this because a lot of people have been asking me how to go about their work permits, their work visas, and that kind of thing. Unfortunately, I'm not the best person to come for that kind of information, because as a student in Poland, you can work without a work permit or work visa. Your student visa alone is enough. Work permit, work visa thing is something that I personally have not gotten into yet. The next thing, oh my gosh, I have so many announcements, but I always do say that if you clicked on a story time, you knew what you were getting yourself into. I'm going to be waffling. I'm going to be talking about things unrelated to the topic. But yeah, I just felt like this is important for the people who are new here. So the next thing that I wanted to say is I do have over 20 videos about living in Poland. So please, before you reach out to me asking me about something, please do have a browse through the channel and see if I haven't talked already about whatever it is you're inquiring about, because I do get this a lot. People are sending me messages, emails about things that I've already discussed and that are very clear in thumbnails and titles and stuff like this. So please, it would really help me save time. The last thing, which I am really excited about, is for my community members who like my fashion content or anything that is not related to Poland. I have decided to create a separate channel for that. So if you're a fan of my fashion content, anything that's not related to Poland, please do check out the channel. I've linked it in the description box, and that's where I will be now uploading my content unrelated to Poland. So yeah, give me a follow, give me a subscription, and watch the videos that I've already posted there. Okay, so now to the reason why you are all here, which is my factory experience. I want to start off by saying that I worked at 2 different factories. I actually don't know if it counts as 2 different factories, because the first one I worked there for almost a month. The second one I worked there for only 2 days. Yes, it was that bad. it was that bad. I couldn't last any longer. But yeah, I will share both experiences because they were very different, and I think, yeah, they will help to, you know, provide more insight on what it could potentially look like for you if you decide to come and work at a factory. So yeah, I feel like with regards to my first job, I actually don't have a lot to say in this video that I didn't already say in my vlog. So maybe after this video, just go and quickly have a look and just see what I was sharing. I still stand by everything that I said in that video. I did ask you guys to send me some questions that you may have, or anything that you might want me to talk about specifically when I do this video. How did you get the job? I got the job through an agent. I'm going to share with you guys the kind of relationship that we had, in case anybody wants to know. The most important thing that I really appreciated about our agent is how we didn't have any problems with getting paid the salaries we had agreed to and on the dates that we had agreed to get paid. He was very efficient in that area. We never had any cent missing, and yeah, that's something that I appreciated, especially knowing that some people had issues with their agencies in regards to getting paid. The other thing I liked about him was, at my first job, we were working at a factory that was a few miles, where am I? Okay, I grew up saying kilometers, so I don't know where that miles came from. So yeah, we were working at a factory that was a few kilometers outside of Lublin, and he organized transport for us to work and from work, and I feel like he did that efficiently. However, I had more things that I didn't like than I liked, and the first thing was that I feel like in some way we were cheated, because at my first job we had agreed that we would work 7 days a week. That was just the terms that he gave us when he was recruiting us, and I agreed to it, obviously, because, well, I wanted the money. However, I did realize later on that, you know, some agencies were paying their workers a higher weekend rate. We got paid the same amount of money whether we are working on weekend or you're working during the weekdays. Our rate was the same. So I feel like in that regard we were kind of cheated a little bit. Last thing that I will talk about in terms of our relationship, I don't know if it's a Poland thing, if it's a company thing, if it's an agency thing, I really have no idea, but we were paid on the 20th of every month. So this is where it got a bit confusing. I worked from July to August, right? So for the July salary, in my country, when you work for the July salary, you would get paid in July, right? But here, for the July salary, we got paid on the 20th of August. And then for the August salary, we got paid on the 20th of September. I really didn't get how that worked, how it was for both places that I worked. So I'm not sure, is it a Poland thing or what? But yeah, I just thought that information might be important to someone. Next thing that I'm gonna talk about is people were really asking me exactly how difficult this job was, and then some women were asking me like, can girls do the job, can women do the job? So the first thing that I wanted to say is, at my first job, it was a fruit production factory. At this workplace we had different tasks for the different genders. So we had tasks that were specifically meant for women, which I would say it's something that was lighter than what the men would do. So I don't know if it's like that in other factories, but that's how it was set up at my factory. You would never find us being asked to do things that were meant to be done by men. And then the next thing that I wanted to share is, to be honest with you, with factory work, every day is going to be different, because it's not like you go to work knowing that this is the place that I'm gonna go to and this is where I'm gonna work for the whole month or year. No, you will get changed every single day. And sometimes, if you're lucky, I actually got lucky a lot of times. At my first job, I got assigned to the same place consistently, which in my own opinion, looking back, was easier. So that's why I feel like I could even last as long as I did, because the moment that I was assigned to a difficult place, that was the day I decided I'm gonna get myself fired. I cannot do this. So it really depends. It depends on when you're gonna get assigned. Sometimes you really feel like, oh my god, today I got paid to do nothing. Or sometimes you will ask yourself, okay, why am I even doing this? Because it's so hard. So yeah, for the days that I felt like I got paid to do nothing, I would have gotten to a place where, first of all, you'd be sitting. At my first job, there was a lot of standing. Like literally most of my work days I spent 8 hours standing. So on the days that I was lucky enough to go to a place where I would be sitting, I'll be like, I got paid to do nothing today, because yay, my feet get to rest. And also the places that you would sit, you'd realize is the far end of the conveyor belt. So these fruits have been through so many people. You don't have so much to do. Like there's really nothing bad that you can pick from it. So it was quite light on those days. My first difficult day I had was when I was assigned to the place where the wash crates that they carry fruits in and store fruits in and stuff like that. That job was hard. My body had for a few days, because you had to work really fast, you had to do different positions, going up and down, stacking crates and stuff like that. I personally found it very difficult and taxing on my body. Second place that made my job difficult was this area where you would literally be standing. Like they had built a place where you could stand that was kind of attached to the machine. So this machine moves a lot, it makes a lot of noise. And then at this station you would work with cherries that would have been de-seeded, like they've been crushed and the seeds taken out. I would get motion sickness, and it was just hard and disgusting, to be fair. It was so hard. And then the day that I actually quit, so it's a fruit production factory. They have cold rooms. I was lucky to never actually work in a cold room, but the day that I quit, I worked with fruits that were coming from the cold room. They were frozen fruits, and these fruits are frozen at like minus 30 degrees or something like that. So although they did provide us with gloves, it wasn't, they were useless, you guys. And they would say, yeah, wear as many as you can, but the truth is, when you go beyond 4, you can't handle anything with your hands now. So yeah, it was hectic. That was the longest 8 hours I had ever worked, because I remember working and my hands are frozen. I can barely move my fingers, and I check at the time. We had started work at 6. I check at the time and it was like 7:30, and I was like, oh my god, how am I going to finish this shift? I had actually decided, I'm like, okay fine, I'm gonna quit. I would just go and tell them that, you know what, I can't do this. But then I remembered, like I said, it was a few kilometers from Lublin. It's not that easy to get, you know, transport from the factory back to Lublin. So even if I had quit at 7, I would still have to roam around the factory until the time to go home when you come to get picked up. So I was like, okay fine, I will just try and finish the shift, but I am not coming back. Like, that's how bad it was. I couldn't move my hands, and now I'm scared. Oh my god, I am for sure I'm gonna get frostbites after this, because my hands were literally frozen. It was hard. The frozen fruits were very hectic, and that was the last day that I worked, and I was like, I can't do this. I quit was because when production starts to slow down, more and more you only work with frozen fruits. So I knew that if I had already started getting assigned around this time, there were more chances of me having to deal with more frozen fruits than fresh ones, because the fresh ones are now in short supply. A few days after I stopped working, he actually then put a post in our group saying that the only work left was, working with frozen fruits. And he was like, well, you really have to think about it if you want to continue work, because it's not easy. Like, that's how difficult working with frozen fruits is. At my second job, the first job that I did was building boxes, and I found the task in general, to be honest, I found it quite interesting and exciting. I was building boxes, right? I will put a display on the screen somewhere of something similar. I was working at a chocolate factory, but I will intentionally put something from a different industry. So you have to build everything from scratch. And I just found it interesting how I would start with literally just flat pieces of paper, and you have to build everything from scratch and level by level. It was quite interesting. What made it difficult was the people on the conveyor belt were packing advent calendars, and those advent calendars had to go on the boxes that I was building. So if there are more advent calendars than boxes and then they have to pile up, I'm in trouble. So I had to work super fast. And then there's the issue of like, you have to bend over to start, the lower level, and then when you're somewhere in the middle, you're not standing up straight, you still have to lean a little bit. It's taxing on the back. And then also add to that I was doing this for 12 hours. So yeah, it really did a number on my body. It did a number on my back. I only worked for 2 days, but I had a backache, not a light backache. I had a severe backache for 2 weeks after having worked 2 days. So yeah, for me personally, second job, it was a bit too much for me. Although it seemed interesting, although it looked easy, it was a bit too much for me. What really annoyed me was, okay, fine, you have assigned me to handle cardboard boxes. Everybody knows that boxes cut. Nobody gave us gloves. There were no gloves available. So by the end of that shift, my hands were all cut up, and it was crazy. I had so many paper cuts, and I was just like, child. And the second day, my task was a little bit easier because, okay, fine, I was sitting down, but then I found that standing would actually make my job easier, because when I was sitting, I had to kind of lean over to be able to do my task. So in that leaning, again, I was hurting my back. It felt like somebody had poured hot water on it. So I had to switch between standing and sitting, standing and sitting. But at this point, my back was already shattered. For 2 days I had a shattered back, and in the beginning I'm just thinking, it's muscle pain, it's something that I've never done before. But then when the first week after I stopped work had finished and I still could feel so much pain, I actually got worried, like, what if I actually hurt myself and it's just not muscle pain? And yeah, I was quite scared. But yeah, after the second week, it later came back to normal. So the other thing that made our work difficult in the second workplace was the way that our breaks were set up. At my first job, I was working 8 hours and I would get a 30 minutes break, which is not much, but it was doable. And I also got to choose when I get that break. At my second job, it was not like that. I was working 12 hours and we got 20 minutes break. Yeah. And this break, we didn't get to choose. The supervisor would decide when everybody goes for break time. So it was quite hectic. I remember on my first day of work when I was building the boxes, it was 12 midnight and we hadn't gotten break. I think we ended up getting our break at 2, which means that I had actually worked a complete 8-hour shift without a break, and that was quite hectic. We have like 10 minutes or less break when people are coming in for the 10 p.m. shift, but I feel like it wasn't enough, because even the 10 minutes plus the 20, it still adds to 30 minutes for a 12-hour shift. The other thing that contributed to my second job being difficult, you guys will not believe this. You are going to think I am lying. So this job was not in Lublin, it was a different city. We had to pack our stuff, all our necessities, and move to a different city. You guys, if you ever hear me disrespect Lublin again, slap me. You see how I always say, oh, Lublin is a village, this and this. Guys, I eventually went to the villages of Poland and it was not pretty. It was not pretty. Honestly, the reason why I took the job was I was thinking, if I can work 8 hours standing for close to a month, there's nothing I cannot do on this earth. Like, that's literally what I was thinking. And I got the job through the same agent, and then adding to that, he had said that you know what, it's a light and easy job, and he had even said he's only looking for women. I'm like, if it's a job for women, then it's really easy, you know. So we pack our stuff, we go there. You know that you've entered the village when you get to the station. So we get to the station, it looked like one haunted and abandoned rail station like that. And I just remember thinking, what have I gotten myself into? Like, I mean, luckily our hostel was literally less than 10 minutes from the train station, so we just walked and then we got there. I will put some footage of what the hostel looked like. Our agent had organized the accommodation for us, but he would deduct the cost from our salaries. So yeah, we get to the hostel, and the next day, that was when we had training, our agent comes, he picks us up, and then we ask him, because you know, if you've watched my videos, I always do say that the transportation system in Lublin and other cities that I've been in, it's quite efficient. There's a bus literally every 10-15 minutes going to wherever you want to go. We ask him like, okay, so how does the bus system work? Or, you know, since you were organizing transport for us in Lublin, are you going to, you know, provide for us transport to go to work? And then this man says, unfortunately, I do not know anyone in this city who could provide transport for you guys to go to work. We will try and figure out the bus system, and then you guys will know how to do it. But most people walk to work. And I was like, what? In this part of the world, people walk to work, even if it's a kilometer. Like, in this part of the world, people walking to work. And it wasn't even a kilometer, you guys, it was 4 kilometers that we had to walk to work. While we're trying to figure out this bus system, we find out there are only 2 buses. I cannot make this stuff up. There are only 2 buses, and at the times when they moved around, those times didn't coincide with our shift. So we had to walk 4 kilometers to work a 12-hour shift. And I was just like, Carol, has it gotten to this point? Like, you really need the money that bad? And then after a 12-hour shift, you walk 4 kilometers back home. You guys, so I later find out from one of the girls that I was with that this was actually a thing. Like, when you work in the smaller villages in Poland, they don't have efficient transport systems. So this was actually a thing, and the other girl had done it before. And I was like, what? This part of the world? Are you kidding me? But yeah, so those are some of the things that would then contribute to your work being hard or not, whether you can do it or not. Personally, I was like, this is mad. Like, okay, fine, going to work, okay, we can go. But then after a 12-hour shift, to have to walk back, hey, guy, and you're tired. I was like, So all this walking, all these long hours, you don't get to come back home to your comfortable bed. You're coming back to this dormitory, and it's not even comfortable. You don't even have your privacy. It was just a lot. It was just a lot, and I was like, So add to the whole long hours and walking to work, we had managers that were always micromanaging us all the time. You know, that supervisor that always has to say something, even if you're doing the right thing, they have to say something. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I can do this. So after the first shift, I had made up my mind. I was like, I don't think I can do this. But then also I've spent money coming here. I've spent money just trying to get myself settled in, because we arrived on a Sunday and then we started work on a Tuesday evening. So I had spent some monies and stuff, and I was like, I just don't want to put a hole in my bank account. Let me just work to reimburse the money that I've spent in this city. So that's how I ended up working 2 days. And I was on a train back to Lublin with much more appreciation for the city than I had before, because I had seen that, you know what, it can actually get worse than this. What I would like to say is, a lot of the times they will say something like the job is a sorting job or it's packing sweets, but a lot of the times when you work in a factory, you will find that you end up in places that you didn't think you would end up in. Like at my second job, the ad was packing sweets. I got there, I was building boxes. And then at my first job, the ad had said production line worker sorting fruits. But then when I got there, at some point I was washing crates, you know. So there's also that to consider. The next question was, how many hours can you juggle with schoolwork? I would say 8 for me personally, considering for both my jobs I had quite long commutes. For my first job, it was 1 hour to go to work, 1 hour to come back, so that's 2 hours already in addition to the 8. And then at my second job, again, about an hour to walk, an hour to come back, 2 hours again. And then you have your responsibilities to attend classes, to do the work that you're given in class and stuff like that. So I would say nothing beyond 8 hours if you actually want to attend classes and get good grades. It was, can you choose not to work overtime? Yes, you can. At my second job, we actually had the option to do 8 hours or 12 hours. I did 12 hours because of peer pressure. But hear me out. I told you guys we had to walk to work, right? So if I had worked 8 hours, I would have had to start work at 10. And it means I would have to walk alone at night at 9, because all my other companions wanted to work 12 hours. So I was like, I didn't know anyone else there. So I was like, there's no way I can walk alone at night. I mean, Poland is a safe country, but you know, you don't want to push it like that. And then the question that people like to ask me, but I don't like to talk much about on my channel, was there any discrimination at your workplace? And I will say, at my first job, I honestly felt like there wasn't any discrimination. Nobody bothered me. I didn't feel like I was being purposely put into the more difficult places. That's just what I thought. And most of the times I didn't even talk to my supervisors, except for the time when they would come and ask, what time do you want to have your break? Because there were different times that you could choose to have a break, and that was the only time I ever talked to my supervisors. They never bothered me. I would just clock in, do my work, come out. I never felt like there was any discrimination at my first job. However, at my second job, I feel like, keyword feel like, there was a little bit of some discrimination, because with factory work, most of the times is you will have like an assembly point where you get to, and then you get assigned to places. So I felt like the 2 days, it was just 2 days, but in those 2 days I felt like, okay, fine, listen, we were here on time. Why are we always the last people to get assigned? You know, like literally they would look around, pick people, look at you, ignore you, pick someone else, and then we just find that it was just me and my companions who were all black that would usually remain, and then we get chucked to the places like, you know, building boxes and stuff like that. So yeah, I feel like at my second place there was a little bit of some of that. We are not always late, so why are we always the ones to get assigned last? Why? And I'm right in front of you. Like, last question that I had, it wasn't really about my experience as such, but have you ever read a text and you can literally kind of feel someone's emotion? So the person said, everyone keeps talking about these factories, factory this, factory that. Are there not any other jobs that foreigners can do in Poland? Of course, there are other jobs that you can do as a foreigner in Poland. The reason why factories seem to be so common and well known is because they are the ones that are easiest to get, especially if you're in a city like Lublin, where I am. Those are the ones that are easiest to get. I've been trying to get a job at the post office ever since I got into this country. I've been trying to get a job customer service ever since I got in this country. What other job have I been trying to get? Oh, McDonald's and all the restaurants won't even look at you if you don't speak Polish. So I think for a small city like Lublin, they're the most common and easy ones to get. Maybe the reason why you hear a lot about these factory jobs is because Polish people don't really like to do these jobs. So the people that try to recruit and get employees kind of turn to foreigners. So that's how maybe they get more attention than the other jobs that everybody wants. For the factories, they have to kind of look elsewhere because the Polish people don't want to treat them. So I guess that's how they become somewhat common and popular with foreigners. So yeah guys, that's it from me. Thank you so much for stopping by to hang out with me. I do hope that this video provided you with more insight on what it could potentially be like for you if you do work at a factory in Poland. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye.